We are on
Live.
live on Transparency and Merit, Inflammatory Talk, and on our X stations, Walk Against the Woke, Mr. Midnight Movie, and we also have a Transparency and Merit X channel.
X channel.
Yeah,
Who
so
uses X anymore? X is terrible.
I do
Why
use X. I get quite a few lessons, or
why
quite
do
a
you
few
spend
listens
you
on
spend
X.
so much time on X? Why?
Um, because it's the one that censors me the least.
You're joking.
I said it censors me the least. It didn't say it did not censor me at all.
They
So
they promote everyone with a particular narrative gets the nod. They get the nod over you, Brian. You're just feeding. You're like going to the zoo and you're feeding the wild monkeys.
well, Joey, we can do a show like that, but the show tonight is the different parenting styles of the World War II generation, the silent generation, the baby boomers, Gen X, and the millennials.
What a joy!
What a joy, Joey.
What a
Okay.
yes.
What they call the greatest generation,
Okay.
the World War II generation, the parenting styles often characterized by a more authoritarian approach. Discipline was strict. There was a strong emphasis on survival skills, resiliency, and duty.
Now,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, from my family, my dad is pretty old. He's born in around in the middle 1930s.
He's part of the silent generation.
He's part of the silent generation. They are tough as nails, dude. They worked out. They moved constantly. They were very strong physically.
Yeah. So I want to get to the key traits of parents from this generation lived through the Great Depression and World War II, which instilled values of frugality, sacrifice, and hard work. Children were expected to contribute to the household from a young age, and obedience was highly prized. Okay.
True. Okay.
Now we get to our parents' generation, because both of our parents, and I have a friend also. Yeah.
Hold on. Why are you talking over me? The reason I brought up the physical prowess of my dad's generation, the silent generation, is, and I'm not sure because of the time gaps in my own family, but I can only imagine how much tougher that the greatest generation was. Physically, and maybe mentally too. But okay, so let's go on to Daddy's generation.
And this is our parents' generation.
Yeah, that's right.
Silent generation, and I also have a friend who was part. Whose parents were also part of what is considered the silent generation. Parenting style continued with the generation authoritarian or authoritative style, but with some adaptation towards more structured environment. This generation valued conformity and stability. Key traits: post-war stability brought some economic comfort, but there was still focus on traditional family roles, respect for authority, and community involvement. The parenting style might have been slightly less harsh, but very much control and discipline. Yeah, I mean, I think as I remember some of the people who had baby. Did you know anyone who had baby boomer parents, Joey? Joey?
Baby boomer, like
Baby boomers 46 through
yeah.
46
Oh,
through
of
64.
course. All my friends had baby boomer. They were all my friends had boomer parents. Every one of them, all of them.
Now were
Not me.
the yeah.
My my
So were you,
my
did you notice?
parents.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Jesus
I'm
Christ.
sorry, man.
I can't
Did
say a
you
goddamn fucking thing.
I'm sorry. Did you notice a difference in parenting styles?
Of course, it's big time. Um, it it really separated um, me from my friends in a lot of ways. And you know, kids are kids, so we played and everything. But like, I noticed I could see probably what they couldn't see. You know what I mean? My parents were older, and from the generation before, and they reacted to things so differently. There was the boomers had such, and I don't know if it was an act or what it was, but they seemed to be cooler. They were able to be more calm under the current stressors of the 80s and the 90s. My parents were freaking out over stuff already, so there was a huge difference, and it showed. You know, it showed.
Now, they say the parenting style shifted towards a more permissive style influenced by cultural revolution of the 60s and 70s. There was a move towards more open communication and less corporal punishment. Key traits: boomers emphasized education, ambition, and personal fulfillment. They were more likely to be involved in their children's lives, focusing on their emotional well being and encouraging exploration and independence through, though this sometimes led to what some call as helicopter parenting. Joe, do you have any comment on this work?
I was
Uh,
all about that. You were too, right? I mean, what do you remember?
I recall my father was uh, he could be both very kind of like free thinking, but he can also be extraordinarily authoritarian. Like I could
Authority.
see, like I was one of the kids that could see like I could go and see an R-rated movie. At 8 or 9 years old. My dad took me to
Me
see
too. Me too.
yeah. But
My parents were the same way. I was already seeing pretty advanced films for my age. I was ahead of the game when it came to movies with my friends for a while. Until my interests kind of changed. But I was the best at movie going, man. I was always there, and probably like you.
yeah, and that was my father's permissiveness, but in other ways he was extraordinarily authoritarian. So he
Right.
deviated from authoritarian from permissive to authoritarian. And I think you kind of had the same kind of upbringing where they were permissive in one way, but extraordinarily authoritarian in another.
Like with money matters, was he kind of iron
Um,
fisted, or was he pretty good?
Money matters are, like doing things against my will, and he could be very manipulative and just
Right,
very,
and secretive too. Like
oh
they
yeah,
were very secretive about their banking and about their private information. Now, and I think that's kind of something that hurts in a way too. Like it's something to work through, but when it comes to like just openness and realizing like when you're out in public, there really is no assumption of privacy anymore. So that is just such a dramatic shift right there. People have no idea. It seems like these things are very quickly forgotten, maybe by design. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And the one thing I kind of knew is that there was less corporal punishment with I mean, like, I don't, because I mean, also, there's also a difference in Gentile and Jewish parentage. I mean, my father did use corporal punishment. He used the belt. I don't know if you said you never got a taste of
No, but what my dad was insistent on is, with when it comes to kind of terrorizing people,
yeah.
he would say that, physical is one thing, but getting loud isn't such a thing. Now it's completely like, if you show signs of anger in any way, it's like, wow, hands up.
Yeah, my father would get just,
Livid. You can get angry. That guy, I saw him get angry a couple times.
Did your old man get angry like Boss Ross?
Well, my dad is still present tense. Thank you.
But does he have the same type of cussing out and just full on blown, filled with rage?
Oh my God, it's like TNT.
Has he gotten worse? Has he gotten worse as he gotten older?
You'd think you'd mellow out, but he's just one of those guys that just is not really gonna mellow out until he gets his way. Once he gets his way, then he's fine. You deal with him all, the whole day if you want.
You think it would help if you put lithium in his beer?
He doesn't drink.
Or what about lithium in his milk or something? Just give him a thing of lithium. Or do you think it would help him though? No, I'm kidding.
I have no idea. You know what? I don't mess with any of that. But, like, he's got his regiment. He's pretty cool. He just, with me, he gets explosive, and we can really, touch each other's buttons. So I do kind of have to, just observe and not react. Sometimes he gets me upset though. But who doesn't have a parent that does that? I just would like to see him calmer. I remember at least Boss Ross was calm, in those last couple years.
Yeah.
Maybe he was resigned to the fact that, he was bedridden and, wasn't going to be really in charge of running things, as it were. But
I think he started to become, a lot more reflective in those years.
My dad's definitely taken that position too. I can tell he's really internalizing things. I've worked with him a lot on that. I'm not saying like I'm a perfect son, but I've really tried to really focus on him, in these late years, to like just really take a little more time, even if it's a little more time, even though he requires a lot more time, but take a little time and reflect. It helps everybody, but he's a tough one. He's a tough cookie to crack. He's got a lot of back.
Yeah, I with parents, it's kind of and I could be completely wrong on this, but parenting, it's kind of a conquest, and when you're young, your parents are gonna conquer your certain forms of wills and behaviors,
right?
And then as the parents get older, they start to kind of be more childlike.
Right.
But they have the power of they remember the conquest, and the thing is, people think their childhood is great. I mean, my childhood was great, that I didn't have any aches and pains, but emotionally it was really awful.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they remember being like a child, and they remember probably being like, like that. I think people who are anti-authority are often abused by authority. And, you and that's one of the reasons, to a degree, that I'm anti-belligerent and arrogant authority. I hate it. That's one of the reasons why I hate the woke left, because they're arrogant authoritarians, and I want to crush them any way I can. Anyway,
You are a man who is perpetually at war.
I am a man of survival and survival instincts.
That's not what you're saying, though. You're saying two different things there. But
well, part of my survival, is having a good well-being, and sometimes parting, of my well-being goes into the fact that
I don't mind. I find you pleasant, but when you say things like crushing the other, that is definitely the Roman warmongering sort of rhetoric that I hear a lot of that. There's a lot of anger.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the boss Ross in me, and
hey, fighter alive.
Yeah. Again, I have that belief, but to me, my beliefs are rooted in logic and reason. That's what at least that I think.
Yeah.
And again, it's primal instincts that I'm going to, and it's recognized. Anytime I see any form of hypocrisy, I consider hypocrisy to be abuse and hypocrites to be abusers. And anytime I see any form of power acting hypocritical, that just throws me into an anger. Like, it's the one thing about my, where I'm that really gets me angry.
Give me an example of that. It's a real broad stroke.
I'll give you an example of hypocrisy.
Yeah, like something that would really set you off.
You know what? When we talked to those ladies, those ladies, when I had that thing of South Africa,
we went to a ladies' march. What was do you remember the event?
I do remember. It was the Women's March.
It was the Women's March in Los Angeles. About 4 or 5 years ago now, right?
They were a couple of woke Zionist ADL people.
Yes.
And everyone in the group was like, because they would say refugees are welcome here. Does that mean white South Africans can be given refugee status? And those people were the only group that wanted to argue that point. And when I think of that, and I should have had more, I wish I'd have been more hostile to them, because they, in my opinion, were very dishonest and dishonorable people. And I don't want to, because there are words I can't use about, like, British grooming gangs that did things to English girls that I believe that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But they're only concerned, like, and now after October 7th, with what happened to their people, they're very concerned, but they have no empathy. They have limited to no empathy for other groups, particularly if they are of European descent and Gentile European descent at that. And that's what I gathered. I could be wrong on that, but it put a chip on my shoulder. It put a big, I think about that, and I think about that woman. I would have, I would have gone ham on her. Capital H, capital A-M, hard as a mother, blanker.
Ham.
Going ham. And I would, I would love to go back and just go really hard on her with her hypocritical behavior. That's one of the reasons why I have Bud Light the ADL, because they're a hypocritical organization. And you can't be concerned about, and now, like I said, the left is attacking, Jewish groups and Zionists, but where were they when they were attacking they were on the side. They were on the side of BLM when they were burning and looting stores. And those that were trying to defend them against it, they were against those people. Anyway, now the parent. Okay, now we're going to Generation X, and that's your and my generation, Joey. I have fond memories of my childhood. Even though I had
Generation X parenting or Generation X, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Generation X parenting.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, often described as latchkey kids due to both parents working. Were you a latchkey kid, Joey?
I was definitely a latchkey kid. I was left to my own. I did play a lot of sports, so I didn't really have time for too much, but absolutely, yeah. There was a lot of time. I wouldn't say I had it as bad as some, but I was often home alone and left to my own devices. Yeah. I chose to go out and play sports, but I knew a lot of people who sat around watching TV.
Now you also played, which is unusual for a kid of your age. I mean, like a kid of your, because you're a Jewish kid, but you also played football, tackle, not flag, but tackle football.
Oh yeah.
And that is now, how many Jewish kids played on this? Like, how many Jewish kids were there that played tackle football? Because it is unusual.
We had a Jewish quarterback.
Oh shit.
where I went, when I went to school in Southern California, there's little pockets here and there where you get that quite a bit. But
that's cool. Yeah. All right.
I don't know. Parenting. Cool. We were terrible. We got rolled.
Well, yeah. Parenting style, often described as latchkey kids due to both parents working, are single parent households, leading to more independence for children. Parenting style might lean towards authoritarian, setting rules, but also encouraging self-reliance. The one thing I noticed, though, is parents of that age were often stupid enough to go on vacation with their kids still there. And that's when the parties would happen. Am I right, Joey? Or am I right?
Right. You're right. A lot of this was when generational money was really starting to kick in for a lot of families. I saw it happen. You probably did too. A lot of people were very rich who, you just kind of shook your head like, what's going on there? But I definitely saw that. I saw that transition. I don't know what exactly you call that, but maybe a transfer of wealth in the country.
Yeah.
And from the boomers to that Generation X.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the boomers that were different than the silent generation are what they call the greatest generation is they were not as frugal as a generation before. So their spending habits, there really was kind of a trickle down kind of thing when they got their money and they made their money, they spent it on luxury items. I mean, they were definitely not as frugal as their parents.
Right. That I noticed that right away. Were you like me though? And did you have a lot of friends who were like with parents that were Gen Xers?
Yes. Yes.
So you see, I saw that quite frequently. It's pretty interesting to hear, talk about it now. I just had a different relationship with money and with how I handled, my affairs, business speaking, and then watching what my friends who had parents that were Gen X age, and it was so different. They were so much more at ease with the way that the system was. I was always kind of out of step I think. So it was a little harder for me to kind of catch up on how to, deal with certain things. But and it was more natural for the Gen X parent, kids with the Gen X parents. It was a little more natural for them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Now, Gen X parenting style, influenced by their own upbringing, often strive for a balance between freedom and structure. They might be more pragmatic, preparing their children for a more competitive world, but also valuing independence and problem solving skills. Okay. Now, millennials, also known as Generation Y, I've cousins and family members that are
Gesundheit.
Gesundheit. I have family members that are Generation X, and I mean millennials, and the start of the woke kind of started with a little, portions of the Generation X, but then millennials really took that over, and they become very woke. So parenting style, frequently labeled as helicopter or snowplow parenting, where parents are highly involved in their children's lives to an overpowering, overprotective extent. There is a strong emphasis on achievement, but also on emotional intelligence and inclusivity. And like I said, you probably taught certain millennials and saw some of their behavior. Joey, do you have any comment on the millennials?
I've always really liked the millennials that were, that I've gotten to know. Although, they're not perfect, but I've really kind of found interesting ways to connect with them. And I feel like Gen Xers, like, we're more apt to kind of work and fix things. And I feel like maybe the millennials are going to maybe take some of the instructions on how to fix things and figure it out. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll just be lazy and not fix it.
I have found that, baby boomers, no matter what political persuasion, seem to be a little more open to disagreement.
Right.
And then Generation X can be a little bit belligerent. Millennials, like, they're the woke, those two girls that I talked to, they were millennials. Their behavior was awful. In my opinion, they don't listen to reason. And to me, the only thing that you can do with people like that, punishment, is the only language people like that understand. Boycott them, blacklist them, because they do it to you. And you gotta gather your truth. I mean, economic warfare, not
punish them.
Yeah. Why wouldn't Joey? Why wouldn't I punish people who would seek to punish me?
Angela, what do you think? Angela, are you for Brian's punishment or against? I'm just curious. Just asking a question. Howard may be on his way.
Boss Ross was one of a kind. That's true. He was. Would you agree with that, Joey?
We all are, Brian. We all are.
Yeah, you're right on that. And like I said, it could be fun. I have fond memories, and
Boss Ross was a card. I was really lucky to meet him when I did. He still had his wits about him, and what a good character. I'm glad I got to know him in that short. It's now very, very much a blip in the radar of my life, but very interesting. And I still have some really neat recordings of Ross where he talked about his experiences when he was a younger man. So I look forward to getting those out at some point.
Hopefully we can, get those out with Boss Ross. So the parenting style, let me see. The parenting style, while not typical classified, parenting style. Did I say this already? And key traits: millennials influenced by technology, global connectivity, and economic stability. Focus often on safety, education, and emotional support. They are often seen as advocates for their children, deeply involved in education and activities, and even career choices, aiming to give their children every advantage in a competitive world. Now, then the last one is Gen Z, and I don't know many of those yet. Not typically classified as parents yet. Uh, Observations suggest a continuation of involved parenting, but the tech savvy twist, because these people did not, Gen Z, by the way, they grew up with cell phones and and home computers and all that stuff, and we didn't have any of that. So parenting style, while not typically classified as parents yet, early observation suggests that of involvement of parenting, but with tech savvy twist. There's an emphasis on digital literacy, mental health awareness, and social justice, also with millennials too. Likely to be more inclusive with parenting styles, possibly become more flexible or fluid, adapting to a quick social norms. Each generation's parenting style is influenced by a broader societal, economic, and technological context of their time. The shift from strict discipline to more involved emotional support styles reflects changes in societal values towards individualism, emotional expression, and the role of technology in daily life. However, these are broad generalizations, and individual parenting styles can greatly vary with each generation. Now, Joey, the one thing that I've noticed, like more like within our news broadcasters, is they are far more emotionally. They act more in an emotional sense. They're not as stoic as they used to be,
Wow.
and
You know what? I totally don't see that. I feel like news pe- news people now are just overproduced. Like it's just overproduced nonsense. It's gibberish. And the words don't even translate to me anymore. There's the way they take sides is so pre-planned and produced, overproduced, that it's lost its shiny veneer. It's lost its good looks. It's just nasty, nasty to me. Hello there, Mr. Scotty Poo.
hey, Scotty Poo. But let me also, I see that there is like when I see the behavior. I mean, and because I'm a news junkie, Joey, I notice the difference in behavior of our newscasters. They're far more opinionated. They're far more obnoxious than they used to be, and their behavior is pretty nasty.
See,
And
I what I think is before when they had more believability, then it was easier for them to get their sort of zings across without having to get nasty the way they do now. Now they have nothing other than this lame rhetoric that is by design just plotted against the news station across the way. So it's back then you didn't have the lines that the newscasters weren't fighting the lines; they just were, and they did it so much better, even though they may have been full of crap from the very beginning. As Citizen Kane would show most people if they had the nuggets to go watch it.
Well, she says it's not newscasters today; it's opinion news. But
true, that's true, Angela.
I think there's a difference between the newscasters of what they call the greatest generation, the World War II generation, the silent generation, the baby boom generation,
right?
And then Generation X started kind of with a wokeness because Don Lemon is part of Generation X, and there are a few others. But you get to the baby boom generation, you get a little bit of the woke nonsense in. And also, reporters were a lot poorer, and they came from working class backgrounds. Go ahead.
By the way, I don't know if you know this, but I had an uncle who was a pretty popular newscaster here in Los Angeles, probably for 25 years. And, I could just say this, that they were always, Scott, they always were actors. They always were. Got news for you, man.
Yeah, but I think the difference is, because a lot of times when you act, you bring your own character in with you. I remember there was an acting coach who said, actors play themselves. He said John Wayne played John Wayne, Jimmy Stewart played Jimmy Stewart, and even Marlon Brando played Marlon Brando. He may have been Marlon Brando, playing a Mexican, but it was Marlon Brando. And you can't get away with certain authentic parts of yourself, even if you try to hide. And he said he would, because there were people that said you have to believe the character you are, and he said that's all a bunch of nonsense. You play the part, as best you can, but the thought that you have to go deep into character, no, you're acting and you're lying. Basically, you're lying, and you don't have to convince yourself that you're a liar. You just play a lie. Like I'm playing a role. This is not real life, and there are techniques to do that. Anyway, I was gonna add that reporters back in the day came from poor backgrounds, and they had respect for the people that they were talking to. They don't have respect for certain people anymore. They don't respect people of the working class in a lot of ways, unless they have woke values. But if they don't, they'll put them down immediately, and they're very vicious about it. I find them to be a very cruel, vicious. I find our legacy media today to be a bunch of entitled, cruel, elitist people who I don't want to spend my money with. One of the reasons I have Walk Against the Woke and Bud Light, the 80 out.
It's just a cesspool of nepotism and it's just
egotism.
And so you've got these like family lines. You got these. Oh man, it's a nasty world inside of that world.
Yeah, and they don't have objectivity anymore, and I feel that there's something lost in the generation and the generations that have gone. Joey, do you have anything to say before I call the show a day?
Angela's wrong tonight. She's not always wrong, just tonight. Scott is wrong. I'm just guessing at that. And
said, they're just actors now. Which Scott is the greatest actor of all time.
Well, look. I was just saying, my uncle was a newscaster for a long time. He was the fakest they come. He was as fake as they come. They've always been dirty. They've always been. They've always been.
Now, Joey, this may be off topic, but don't you think that Scotty Poo would make a great Scorpio?
Oh, the best. I don't know the best. He'd be so good at it, though.
Yeah, I'm thinking of him or the the guy in There Will Be Blood, the preacher.
Yes. Well,
I think he'd also be.
Maybe we could work with Scott and train with him, and we'll wake up at the same time every day and eat some raw eggs, and just get him in the state of mind so he could actually really do, because he can get on that school bus like Scorpio, and he could really put on a show if he needed to.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Joey, is there anything to add? Oh, and I got a song. I think we'll play that at the end. I got a song that I sent you on.
Yes, good topic. Great topic tonight. I'm really glad. I really liked talking about the silent generation because, that's where my family, that's where I was raised with parents from that generation. The boomers, I always felt comfortable with. They were always super nice to me. I felt closer to them than I did my own parents, in a way. But at the end of the day, I still, have my parents. So, anyways, all right. Let's. I don't know how you feel. If you have anything that you want to end us out on.
You know what? We'll keep you posted on what we're doing. Joey, why don't you play us out with a song that I sent you on? A song that's called "Generations."
Okay, I see that. Let me open that. Guy, heads up every now and then would help.
Yes.
Gee. All right. All right, here it is. Generation gaps.
Yes. I don't know if I can hear it.
Angela, can you hear it? Were you hearing anything? Anybody, were you hearing anything? I don't know.
I am not hearing it, so I might play it on my own.
You can play it if you want. It's horrible.
All right, I'll play it. Let me play this song. Here we go.
Listen more, but stood that grind stuff for tongue detached. World War II, old folk stuff for tongue detached. World War II, they gave their best. Discipline was still in hand. Raised us in a stronger land. Silent age spoke so clear. Hard work values held so dear. Listen more, but stood their ground. Silent strength, the whispers found. Silent age spoke so clear. Hard work values held so dear. Listen more, but stood their ground. Silent strength, the whispers found. Generations clash and land. Silence quick and never ends. Pass the torch from hand to hand. Parenting through shifting sands. Rumors walk throughout the stage. Peace and love became their rage. Liberal minds lost to say. Changing norms in every way. Straight X-rays on MTV. Latchkey kids with secrets free. Skeptic hearts, but still they try. Raising kids while dreams come. Millennials with screens on.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening.